Hello everyone and welcome to another video. I am Simply G and today I'm going to be giving my review of Glacier Bay's From the Flame. This is a 60-page-ish collection of short stories by Oumi Konomi, which contains 8 short stories within. As with many of the Glacier Bay titles that I review, I was actually sent a review copy for this title in exchange for a honest and fair review. And as always, all of my thoughts and opinions in this review are my own, regardless of whether I receive review copies or not. So hopefully it will give you an idea of the titles that I personally enjoy and that I recommend. So something that really stood out for me in this short story collection was how much emphasis it had on beginnings and almost this morbid curiosity of our place in the world. There's a huge amount of influence of myth within several of these stories, and a lot of that is reflected in both the artwork, in the storytelling, in the story structure, which you see really reflected later on in the book, things like the god beyond the mountains. But throughout the whole book, there really felt this quiet subtlety of sadness and that inward look at ourselves and our place within society, and somewhat of the helplessness that we feel when we come to an eventual and unavoidable ending. Oumi Konomi is a phenomenal artist and is really able to capture the atmosphere of each of these separate short stories in ways that makes them very distinct from each other while still being very obviously from this creator. When it comes to short story collections, it is very often that you find some that have very, very strong stories and then a mix of middling to poor stories. But I've found across the board with Glacier Bay, I've never been disappointed with any of the short stories in any of their collections. And From This Flame has followed this trend. Of the 8, though, if I did have to choose, Obon's Torment I can absolutely understand why was the most broader appeal. Captured a lot of the things emphasized in other short stories within this collection, notably the supernatural elements and this curiosity, this searching from the protagonist, whilst tying it up in a somewhat resolved way, which wasn't always the case in some of these other short stories. Point of Viewpoint was a psychedelic look at the world that we miss, and looking at ourselves and the evolution of humanity in a way that reframes how we look at the world. And that story really highlighted how a change of perspective can bring such magic and beauty into the mundane every day, and opening up our thought processes as to how we occupy the world around us. By embracing the ways that we are different, or that the world doesn't accept us, or that we've seen as a problem, can lead us to finding our own pocket of magic. As a big fan of mythology and supernatural themes, I was definitely within the audience for this title, but I do think it has broad appeal for audiences who appreciate alternative comics and stuff that's published outside of our main imprints. If you're looking for an interesting, beautiful inflection of the human condition and the ways that people accept the beginnings and endings in their lives, From This Flame is fantastic. From start to finish, this was just such a wonderful little book and really shows the strength of a short story collection like this in the diversity of stories that you can tell, from things that are a little bit more approachable, like Obon's Torment, to things that are a little more self-reflective, like Mirror on the Wall, or stories that challenge our day-to-day perception, like Point of Viewpoint. Once again, Glacier Bay has put together a phenomenal book. and I really can't recommend it enough. The quality of translation and lettering is always fantastic in Glacier Bay's publications, and I continue to be impressed from such a small publisher that they continue to raise the bar with what is and should be acceptable within this industry. If this sounds like your sort of book, I will leave a link in the description below where you can purchase your own copy from Glacier Bay's website. Once again, the team at Glacier Bay has put out a phenomenal product from an amazing artist and creator, and as always, it was such a joy to read and review a series from this publisher and from a creator that I had no prior awareness of. Be sure to check out From This Flame. So those have been my thoughts about this self-contained single volume of short stories from Oumi Konomi, published by Glacier Bay Books this March.